This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hi friends, welcome to this week's pod. This is a show for the week of March 16th, 2026. And this is what's going on in our Disney World. Phil has a trip report again. A little down and back trip he's going to be talking about. That was part of our DBC engagement from last week, making your own D23 event. Phil went to his own D23 event. So welcome back.
Thank you,
traveler.
Yeah.
We'll go over a lot of Cool Kids Summer updates. There's some new discounts, but they're not really new discounts, but there are new discounts. More importantly, there's a new ticket offer which changed from last year. So that'd be an interesting topic to discuss. Bunch of news. And at the top of the show, I'm going to just remind everybody to hop on Discord, like and subscribe if you're watching. We really appreciate that and it helps out the show. So with that all being said, Phil, we're just going to get right to it. What happened this week?
Yeah, so the first thing you put in here, this note about the Midnight Memories ad, I guess you wanted to talk about.
That was the title, right?
Yes, I think that's what it was. I think so. So during the Oscars, Disney unveiled a new commercial for Disney Cruise Line, which, I mean, I think they cheated because they used the music from Up. That I think already got everyone's emotions on edge, but it basically showed.
I didn't even notice that, to be honest with you. Everything else got me teary-eyed.
But they just show like father with a young infant on their first Disney cruise and takes the babies, not settling or whatever. So he takes them for like a midnight walk around the ship. And then it goes year after year as he takes the child as it grows. It becomes like their thing to go for these like midnight walks. And
the kid's like a toddler and then a little kid and a preteen and then a teenager.
Yeah, and the teenager doesn't even want to hang out with him during the day, but he still shows up at night and like, cause it's still his thing. And then it ends with the father now older and he's just there with his wife. And then his son knocks on the door now with his child. Now the original father's grandchild says, "Hey, we couldn't sleep. Do you guys want to go for a walk?" And basically everybody was crying. Apparently there was cutting onions everywhere around the country because everyone got emotional.
I don't typically cry at these things. And I was like teary-eyed because Disney, I mean, first of all, I can't be the only father that thought it was very, very unsafe for him to be carrying around a baby at the deck of the boat right now. I thought that was kind of scary a little bit. I mean, I would have gotten nervous. That being said, Disney like hit you right in the feels. It's like you could have insert any Disney place where people go on vacation year after year. It could have been Cruise Line. It could have been Magic Kingdom. It could have been anything. I think they probably chose the Cruise Line because you could do something at night where it's quiet and there's not a lot of people.
True.
Type of thing, so it's a good setting. But like it just, I don't know. It's like my mother got emotional during Luminous because of the whole story and the cycle of life type of thing. It's like this is just like it's just right in your face. And I think it's because we're both fathers, so like it hit us differently than maybe a mother would or something else like that, just because it was specifically a father-son type of thing. So I thought that was very sad. Didn't make me want to go on a cruise, but it
definitely made you think more though, just about like sort of those memories from vacations and the things you do year after year after year. So whether it's Cruise Line, whether it's going to Walt Disney World, where it's a different vacation location, I think how those emotions got. Although my kids were watching it and they heard the music from Up and my son goes, "Is one of the grandparents going to die?" I'm like, oh no. I'm like, wow, you're really trained by Disney animation that one of the parents has to die. Yeah. But no, it went in a sweet direction.
Don't watch that commercial if you've got like a call or a meeting like right afterwards because you're going to be teary-eyed on it. It was a very good commercial. Yeah. It was it's less of a promotion of a product and more of a promotion. And I think that's been lacking with a lot of like the Disney like commercials of the last, half decade or so. And it's all been like advertising new rides and new things or new offerings. This was back to like just the Disney like family bonding feel.
Yeah, there's been a few more, and actually several of them have been for Cruise Line. There was one I remember that got me a little bit. It was just like one of those where they're walking around the cruise deck and the little kid just like keeps grabbing the mom's hand or whatever. And it's like they only hold your hand for this long or whatever, like go on the cruise type thing. So I think Cruise Line seems to like really tap into those emotions maybe more than others. And
maybe they're trying to build those emotions for the Cruise Line versus like Disney World or something.
Yeah,
like
where
that.
There's like new rides to promote and stuff. But Speaking of new rides, really, we know that Cool Kids Summer is coming up. First of all, I didn't realize. I thought it was Cool Kids Summer. Apparently, this year they're changing it to Cool Kids Summer. Like the kids.
Is that actually a thing?
Yeah, like now it's like the kids
I completely
own,
missed that.
like own. It's like their summer or something like that. But they, as part of it, they announced a whole bunch of new opening dates or reopening dates for things. The first one coming up is at April 18th. Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin is going to be opening. Our predictions were, I said it was going to be mid-May. You said the end of March, Jason. So I guess you were a little bit closer than me. I did look up.
I didn't go over.
Yeah. So I guess
Price is Right rules, right?
Yeah. And they also shared that the on-ride photo is going to display, like with the PhotoPass photos, it's going to have your score and your rank, right? Like built into the photo.
It's a terrible idea, by the way.
Is it? I thought it was kind of a fun idea.
Just embarrassment, right?
Well,
I get to see my embarrassment of how terrible I am at this game. That's what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I do like the idea. Like if you do the photo pass, let's say you have Memory Maker, right? Like, and you go on the ride like 5 times, like you'll have your score there for every single time you go on, which is, I think, is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next thing is a whole bunch of things are opening on May 26th, which is actually the day after Memorial Day. The Disney Junior Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, the new show, will be opening on that day. I said Memorial Day weekend, and you said Memorial Day weekend, so we're spot on that one.
Makes sense.
The World of Disney, World of Disney Studios Courtyard will be opening. So just the area outside which you, I guess, have to get to if you want to get to the Disney Junior show. So that'll be open as well. Soarin' Over America will be opening. The current version will close on May 13th. So it'd actually be closed for about 2 weeks almost, which I don't know if they're doing any other changes besides changing the film. I don't know why they need two weeks for that. Maybe just checking that it's working and stuff like that. But just be aware that mid-May it will be closed. And then Bluey's Wild World of Conservation Station and Affection Section, which is being renamed to Jumping Junction, and will feature animals native to Australia. That area will also open on May 26th. I said Memorial Day weekend for that one, so I was pretty much spot on. You said it wouldn't open until June, but I mean that's not too much after that. So we were all pretty close on these, I think.
The one thing I want to point out is the Soarin' being closed. Do you think that they're going to do any kind of decorating in the area for it, like change out the videos and kind of just put more of like a patriotic spin,
like in the queue area and stuff like that? I think they could. I mean, it'd be easy enough to put up like bunting and stuff like that, or something like that. Like the kind of the patriotic stuff like that. And I assume there will be a new video, like pre-show video and stuff like that. So. And I apologize if I misspoke. It's not April 18th. It's April 8th that Buzz Lightyear opens. So you're even closer. I just mistyped in the notes. My bad.
That's fine. That's fine.
We didn't get an official date. It does appear that Big Thunder Mountain Railroad will reopen in early May. I said April 20th. You said April 23rd. So we're a little behind. They're a little behind our estimations for that. It seems to be taking a little longer. I don't
remember like being so exact with those dates, to be honest with you. But I'm glad Big Thunder is coming. That's the one thing that I was hoping I would not miss with my trip in the summer. Yeah. So I'm glad. Yeah. Glad to see that. The one thing you don't have on here, unless you had something else that you wanted.
No, go for it. Here. No.
I forget what it's called now. It's the Jesse show at the Horseshoe or Golden.
Oh, the Golden Horseshoe. Yeah. Is that opening?
Yep. So we've talked about that before, but they had some more details about it and stuff like that. So that's something that I'm going to keep an eye out for. I don't know if it's something my kids would enjoy or if it's kind of geared towards like 5 and 6 year olds, like crafting and stuff like that.
Yeah. So sometimes they do those like dance parties that are more towards the elementary school age.
Like Goofy at Communicore.
Exactly. The one thing that also wasn't in here is they didn't have a date for the new Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster. We are hearing rumors they're hoping that'll also be open by Memorial Day. But I don't know. It sounds like it might be pushed off till July or August, depending on they're pushing for it. So I feel like it's going to be close to your vacation, either right at it or a little bit after. So we'll see. It sounds like they're going as fast as they can, but they might not be able to hit their date. So that's why they haven't, I think, announced the date, because they don't know if they're going to make it or not. So they haven't announced it. So we'll see. They also talked about some summer promotions. Free dining. We talked about it before. At that time, it was only open to Disney.
Well, before we get into the summer promotions, I want to have a conversation. I'm sorry for interrupting. I was thinking about it, and I was going to jump.
I was looking at you, and you didn't look like you were going to talk. And then I guess I didn't.
I was thinking. I was staring at it, and I'm like, I was waiting for you to ask the question you have outlined in there, but you didn't get to that. So, I think. I mean, where were we? Like a year ago or so, we were saying that, okay, there's no new rides opening. There's some refurbishments. What is Disney going to do to attract people? And now we have a list of all these things. That's it. I mean, it's nothing. There's no e-tickets or new lands opening, right? But it's a decent list of things that for at least families to go there and experience something new. Or if they haven't been in 2 years, there's now plenty of stuff I think that they can.
If you start adding in, if you haven't seen Starlight and things like that, there's definitely a whole bunch of new activities if you haven't been, like you said, in a year or two.
I think it's pretty good. And you had a question here. What am I most excited for? I'm most excited for Big Thunder Mountain and that side of the park kind of getting more alive again. And then what cool vantage points we can take pictures of all the construction. More importantly, so we don't have to wait for BioReconstruct to do flyovers like every other week.
And I don't know if you mentioned, if you had this in your construction updates, but there was some photos that they seem to be installing some poles or something along the river near Big Thunder, and people are speculating maybe they'll be putting up some walls so you won't be able to look right into the construction zone. They're not going to be able to block it from when you're riding Big Thunder or anything like that, so definitely be able to see into it from some areas at least.
It's not in my construction notes, but I did see that update.
Yep. So have these announcements impacted any of your planning? Any like impact on if you're going to get lightning lanes or anything like that? Or is it kind of aligned with what you were expecting, so it's not changing anything?
I did a pretty poor job preparing for this show. I have a notebook, right? So every time we sit down for family dinner, I have a notebook that I open up and I stare at, right? So I have like one day we're going to try like Disney bounding. So we're kind of thinking about like what kind of theme that we can kind of do. Nice. We're leaning towards Muppets or villains. We don't know how that's going to actually work, but we're talking about it. And then I have my calendar of all the different days and, restaurants and stuff like that we want to try. But one of them is an ongoing list of all the new things. And you asked the question, does this impact my decision? No, because it's built into like the planning. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do. And I think, again, we're going to do our vacation like we did last year, where we just don't know what day we're going to certain things and just kind of make sure we just kind of check that list as we go on. Because I know, Bluey is a priority. So maybe we go to Animal Kingdom as our first park day and kind of hop from there type of thing. But I know Bluey's huge. I'm really excited about the new Soarin' over America. I'm really excited about that. I guess I'll take the time here to promote. My wife and I did a podcast. It's coming out on Wednesday. We recorded it last night, Phil. My wife was so happy that we got 100 views on the video that we did while you were in Paris. And let's do another one. So we finally found time to do it. Go easy on my wife. She's a very new podcaster, so she's still kind of getting used to the cadence of like filling in time. But we talked about the Disney Junior Mickey Mouse Clubhouse type of thing. I'm like, I'm really interested in seeing that. But I'm like, because we were talking about adults versus adult only trips versus family trips. And I'm like, if we have an adult trip, like we can't go into that clubhouse because that would be just kind of really weird to go in as two adults. Right. And I'm like, I'm not sure I could bring my older kids because our youngest is 8 and that's really designed for like 4 to 6 year olds type of range. Right.
8 would be okay, I think. But
but then I've got a 13 and 11 year old too. And they might be like, what are we doing here, Dad? But I always liked the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse growing up there. My kids used to always watch that. So that's ingrained in my brain here a little bit. But I'm looking forward to Soarin' and Bluey. And I think we'll hit those easily because those are type of things that we've did. But Bluey, we've never been back there. So I'm looking forward to the train as well. Yep. So
I'm interested to see how
does it impact my decisions?
Logistics are going to work with the train and getting back to Bluey if Bluey's hyper popular. And I don't know. I'm hoping it'll function and stuff, but it's going to be interesting to see how it works.
Have they announced like what the hours are going to be for that by any chance?
No, I haven't seen that if it's going to be different than when it was open before. But I mean, it's Animal Kingdom, so it's only open to what, like 7?
Well, I'm just saying, like, I doubt it's going to be a rope drop thing, right? So, but then if the park opens at 8 or at 9, is it available 8 or 9, or is it like it's available from like 11 till like?
I don't know.
Like, it might not open with the park, right? It might open like mid morning and then end like mid afternoon type of thing. So
that'll be interesting to see. I know they did announce that. I mean, not surprisingly, but Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster will be part of like early entry for guests and stuff. They haven't said anything. I haven't seen anything about Bluey's and stuff like that. If it'll be open for early entry or anything like that.
Well, if everybody was on social media this morning, you saw the line for Slinky Dog Dash in Hollywood Studios was coming out of the land. It's crazy.
Yep. So
don't go during spring break.
Yeah, that would be the takeaway. Okay, now moving on to summer promotions.
Now we have time for some.
So as I was saying, free dining is back. Same details as before. Just before it was Visa card holders got in early. Now it's open till everyone. As Jason mentioned, there is a new ticket deal. They're bringing back the whole 4-day 4-park ticket, so you get 1 day at each of the park, no park hopping or anything like that. And it's starting at. It said it was starting at $109 a day. I actually saw some days starting. It said it was listed as $100. So I guess some days are even cheaper. But obviously it's times 4 for a person. I looked up just to like price things out, and I said, okay, if I started our late August trip that we normally do as a family, August 23rd, 4-day ticket deal would be $436 per person. And I priced out just a regular 4-day ticket with no hoppers, but no restrictions on which park. So you could go to Magic Kingdom all 4 days if you wanted. That would be $530. If you wanted hoppers, that would be $610. So you do save,
you're basically saving
about $100. Yeah, about $100 by doing the deal. Obviously, it'll vary depending on which day you go, because it is dynamic pricing. But yeah, about $100 a person, which adds up.
And this deal is completely useless if you want to go for more than 4 days at the parks. Too,
correct. Yes. Yeah. If you want to go, otherwise you have
right?
to add on those extra days, and they're at the single day price or whatever. So it really starts to not be worth it. If you want to do more than this, you really do have to fit into the structure of I'm good with doing the 4 parks, 1 day at each park. That gets me what I need. Yep. So, for example, with my family of 5, though, if we were able to do this versus that, it would save us $470, so that's not
big.
nothing. Yep. Also, they've announced a whole bunch of room only discounts, 30% for up to 30% for regular people, 35% for Florida. I don't know what that's saying.
Florida residents are not regular people, I guess, right?
And 40% up to 40% for pass holders. Maybe I should have done it reverse. Up to 40% for pass holders, up to 35% for Florida residents, and up to 30% for everybody else.
There we go. That's the way to do it. I am not editing it whatsoever either.
And
I mean, these are these are your Kohl's discounts, right? Like these are always there. And the one thing I think is kind of interesting that just popped in my head is we always used to have like a 20 or 25% discount, like in years prior to this.
Yeah.
And I don't think you might have had it last year, but we're starting off at 30% off the rooms and going up from there, which is something. I mean, the average park room or hotel cost still for your value and moderate is still basically flat with inflation that it's been for the last 5 years for the most part, unless you're going through some specific times where it's overly inflated because it's spring break or
Thanksgiving or whatever.
Weekend. Yeah, exactly. Deluxes are still kind of going up there, but it's normal room discounts. I don't think this is anything really to be crazy about, in my opinion.
And then a reminder, obviously you still, for this summers, have the free water park perk on arrival day. So
let me ask you a question about this.
Okay.
I'm interrupting you again.
Go for it. Yeah. Well, that's what we do. Yeah.
So my upcoming trip, we got Animal Kingdom and Wilderness Lodge, right? So we have 2 water park days. Tom Bricker, shout out to him, in his newsletter, in one of his categories, he's pumping up an app that you can get, or an extension you can get on Chrome that kind of, if you go to like, I think it's not Priceline, it's Expedia, I think. But where you go to the hotels, you can do like a mystery hotel. You can select where you want to stay. It could be like just some random hotel that's in Orlando, or it could be a Disney hotel, because Disney does offer those blind deals. The downfall is you picking blind. You get 3 choices. You pick them, or is it 3 choices, or it's just flat out blind? But they give you a description you can kind of decipher. Now, there's a lot of different things you can do to decipher this. So you can look at the rating, the description, the amenities, where it's located, general area where it's located, and cross-reference that with like other websites where they're pulling in those things, right? So there is an extension that automatically cross-checks everything and spits out its best guess. And you can there's some like really interesting deals that you can get on there. He just showed some examples for this. So my question is, normally when we go down, is I get like a cheapy hotel, like to like crash after like driving for 18 hours, relax, rest, and wake up on our check-in day nice and refreshed and ready to go. I've tried twice already to get like a bonus Disney hotel. I have not been able to do it yet, right? Tom seems to get it every single time. He takes advantage of it because he's local or he travels down there quite a bit, and then like he likes to get 1 or 2 day type of things. So again, my question is, if I can manage to get using this app that just basically probably steals all my private data when I sign up for it, is do I try to get a Disney hotel, on my check-in or my arrival day, which we typically get around lunchtime? And do I do water park, and then the rest? Because I'll have 3 check-in days essentially at Disney parks. Do I do double up the water parks?
I think it would be fun. I guess you'd have to see how tired you were, but I mean, honestly,
I'd be exhausted. Yeah.
I mean, since you have the car though, I mean, you could go over for an hour, right? It's not like you have to do like 8 hours there or anything like that. You could go over and just like rest on one of the loungers and get a drink or something. Like
fall asleep.
Yeah, whether it's you could fall asleep there just as much as you could fall asleep in your hotel room. So I guess if everyone wants to go, why not for at least an hour?
I mean, every time we've gone down, we've basically had like a 4 or 5 hour pool day at the resort.
Right.
So we've done that. So I'm curious to see if I can. I'm going to do it just because. Yeah. And if I can get a deal that's like $150, which is what I budget for like a place to sleep type of thing.
A halfway decent place is going to be pushing that anyway. Yeah.
But they had a couple things like boardwalk. Would you splurge? Like you fly down, so you don't typically need like the rest day hotel type of thing. But would you splurge $250 for the chance of getting like a boardwalk room for one night?
Ooh.
Or would you try to stick to like the $100 room?
I'd probably do the cheap one because it's like you said, you might just be crashing and that sort of thing. It would be tempting to do if you could get like Beach Club or something like that with the pool and stuff.
Tempted.
But you already have 2 deluxes and stuff like that, so I mean, maybe less.
There's always
more deluxe.
Cross that one off the list. I just want to check mark where I've stayed at all these places, right? That's I just kind of want to do that. And completely unrelated, the wife and I were talking at the dinner table the other night, and she's like, we should really do the Wild Africa trek. I'm like, honey, you do know that's $1,200. She's like, yeah, but I'm like, it is $1,200. Like it's $250 a head for everybody. And there is probably now a non-zero chance that we end up doing that. I just hope that it sells out quickly. We just don't have the option for it.
Sorry, honey.
Oh, maybe we just have to go down, just the 2 of us and do it and bring back the details.
Yeah, it's a big price difference between 2 people and 5 people.
It's $750 difference. It's ridiculous. But yeah, anyway, water parks on the Arrival Day, it's a fantastic feature. If you haven't taken advantage of that last year, it's to me, it's a game changer for your Disney vacation. It's because most people don't know what to do on their arrival day. They have like we explore the resort, we go to Disney Springs. Some people rush to like use a theme park ticket for, which I'm never a big proponent of unless you have AP or you just have extra tickets because you bought a big.
Yeah, I know if you're already going for like 9 days or something, going up to 10 days is not a big deal. So then might as well use it. But otherwise, I'm not a big fan of doing.
But it's the best thing to do for like. In almost all the resorts or all the ones that I've heard about, they're very accommodating of like taking your stuff because they know that you want to drop your stuff off and go to the water park. So they're ready for it. So if you haven't taken advantage of it, it's an excellent perk. I just hope they extend it again for next year and then not just for the summer. They kind of push it out from like spring break to like maybe Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I could see not doing it all year round. I think it was a real issue around the winter when like they had to close it because it was cold or something like that. But I did wish it started like at least like April or May and went to like September, October. It's pretty narrow, the scope. But last thing I did just price out, kind of like, well, if my family went down, what would it be? I priced out a 5-night stay at Port Orleans Riverside. That was the only moderate that was available for those days. So check-in day, we would do the water park, and then we would have 4 full days for parks, and then our checkout day. It was $221.62 for a night for the room versus rack rate of $324. So altogether for the room and those 4-day tickets, it came to $3,426 for my family.
That's not hateful.
For you're going down for 5 nights. Like that's like a full vacation. That's not just like a
full Disney vacation. And the only thing I would probably do, like if I'm playing travel agent here, I say add an extra night so you can split those 2 park days.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to see like what the minimum would be, but make it a 6-night, have a day off in the middle, and just do a resort day and stuff. So
that's a fantastic vacation.
Yeah, then push it up to what, about $3,650 or something like that.
Add another $200 something bucks. Yeah, it's under $5,000 basically. And anything to me, a almost week-long Disney trip for under $5,000.
And this would be under $4,000 before food. So obviously you have food and stuff like that, but yeah, not too bad. The last news item, and I wrote out a ton of news, a ton of information about it, and thank you LinkedIn for some of this information.
This should be interesting.
But Disney, they announced a number of leadership changes, and actually more came out today as Dana Walden announced changes to her leadership team within the the film and movie space, the entertainment space. The only big change kind of about that is now Disney Games reports into her instead of into experiences. So there's definitely a lot of focus on kind of integration of games and stuff like that. But this is for the kind of the experiences side. So obviously we know Josh D'Amaro is taking over as CEO, 2 days from us recording. So probably a day after you're listening to this. So congratulations to Josh. This is our last episode before he takes over. And I guess we should also say thank you to Bob Iger, who will be moving on to his new role for the rest of the year. Obviously, Josh was formerly chairman of Disney Experiences for the past 5-6 years. He took that over in May of 2020. Prior to that, he was president of Walt Disney World. Then he was president of Disneyland. Then he was CCO of Walt Disney World. Each of those he held for about a year and a half. Prior to that, he was vice president of transportation at Walt Disney World, which I thought was kind of interesting. And he was vice president of Animal Kingdom. Which I know we were asking about the Pandora stuff. I looked at when he was there was when they did the planning for Pandora, but he left before they started any of the construction, is what it said. And prior to that, he was Adventures by Disney. So very parks heavy background for his time. He's been with the company for 27 years, pretty much all, kind of related to parks and stuff like that.
And we've said this before. I don't care about all the cynical people out there. If we're going to have somebody become the CEO of Walt Disney World, Walt Disney Company, you want somebody that grew up in the parks.
Yeah.
Like there's no other better option. Honestly, I mean, you could have somebody from the outside that might juice up the stock for Wall Street or for whatever reason. But we're all park fans here. We want somebody that grew up in the parks. And honestly, I mean, I don't know who else could be would be a better choice. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in his first year as CEO.
Yeah, and if you saw last night at the Oscars, both he and Dana Walden were there, and they got interviewed, and he was just talking about how he really wants to maintain and protect the legacy of Walt Disney and the Disney company. And he just talked about how excited he is. Like, it's always hard to tell because, he probably is a bit of a politician and stuff, but he seemed genuine. Like, he seems like legit excited for this role.
So is Walt. I mean, like, Walt had to be a showman, right? Some people call it him being a politician.
Yeah, maybe showman's a better word. Yeah.
But like Walt was a showman. He was all about putting on the show. He's always out front, the representative of the company, right? He was on TV and all the specials and all the other type of things. That's the same vein of what Josh is doing. If you don't like him, you call him a politician. If you do like him, he cares and he's kind of wants to show off, what he's working on. So I like how he's hands-on. Yep. He seems to. There's rumors or things people are saying that he's hands-on and the creative and everything else, helping shape the parks, like he's getting in there. Iger really wasn't doing that, and if he was, is probably to the detriment for the most part. Chapek certainly was a disaster in that regard. But like going back to Eisner had a huge hand in building a lot of these things, and for better or worse, he had some fantastic additions, and he had some flubs too.
They're not all
but it was an exciting time to be a Parks fan back then, and hopefully it changes to that.
Hopefully,
so congratulations to everybody there. It's fantastic.
So taking over his former role as head of Disney Experience is going to be Thomas Mazzulam, who is currently president of Disneyland. And before that, in 2020, he was named president of Disney's Signature Experiences, which at that time under that was Disney Cruise Line. While he was leading it, they doubled the size of the fleet. So he's obviously managed upscaling things. Before that, he was senior vice president of operations for Walt Disney World, overseeing the hotels in Disney Springs. And before that, he actually worked for Crystal Cruises. So he definitely has a more of a background in the cruise line along with the parks, which I think bodes well for your goal of having all the lounges that are on cruise lines coming to the park. So maybe he'll do that.
Yeah.
One thing I found interesting though is, so Josh D'Amaro is 55, which is kind of an ideal age they want for people becoming CEO. Tom Mazzulam is already 59. So this is not somebody they're putting in this spot to kind of groom to be the next CEO. This is, and you'll see that with a couple of these roles. This is definitely Josh putting in someone that he believes in, has a good working relationship with, and has experience. It's for having success now, not grooming for the future, at least at this time.
I mean, I don't think he wants to think about grooming his replacement in day one, right? Either. So it is a little bit putting somebody in there that he doesn't have to worry about. But again, we haven't heard anything. There's no way that we can know, but it seems that there's no backstabbing.
It doesn't seem
going
like it,
on, right? Because Dana Walden is there. She's got she was the main candidate versus Josh, and she seems to be taking on a brand new role with brand new responsibilities. And the fact that she is taking that on and she's putting on a good face about it, showing up with Josh and all this other stuff, that it seems like hopefully it's kind of a nice duo to have at the head of the company. Hopefully. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
Now here's one other thing though. So what I don't know who how do you pronounce his name? Thomas Maslam?
Mazulam.
How do you pronounce it? Mazulam, excuse me. There's a lot of Disneyland people that are, moaning about like him changing the French fries in a couple different places and having just one type of French fry versus a couple different ones and raising the prices on like a soda or something else like that. And like a lot of the issues with Disneyland are all because of he's just a penny pincher and accountant type of person. Do you put any of that on him? I'm not that you actually know. I'm just like, there's everybody always has something negative to say about people. No one can just be happy. Do you have any worries about him taking over in this position, or are you just trusting the process?
I think it's more the latter. I'm trusting the process, and I think he did oversee Disneyland though, which is like you're all the Imagineers are there and stuff like that. So I'm hoping he's going to bring that view to all the parks versus kind of a more narrow view of Disneyland. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to know like penny pinching in one area, but they're doing major construction elsewhere, right? Like, so it's they're not afraid to spend money. So I don't know.
His boss told him to try to save money.
Yeah, like, or maybe just some contract ended and they didn't renew it because they had, I don't know. There's all these things behind the scenes we're never going to know. So until you start seeing like a real pattern, I think it's hard to say. Try to move through the next one a little bit, just because that's because somebody moved up, now somebody's got to take that new role. Replacing him as president of Disneyland is Jill Estorino, currently president and managing director of Disney Parks International. So she was kind of oversaw not any of the individual international parks, but kind of all the international parks at a higher level.
I think that's interesting.
Yeah, which I think is interesting. And she took that role in July 2020. Prior to that, she was executive vice president of global marketing and sales for Disney Parks Experience and Products, role she took in 2015. So she's obviously got that view of everything that's going on internationally.
Is she a person that's I don't know if this is rude to say. Is she like an American citizen where she was born here, or is she somebody that was joined the company like from another country?
No, I can try to look that up.
I'm just kind of curious. Not that it matters. It'd be interesting to see the influence and thought process of somebody that's not native to California, or let's say, or the West Coast or something. So
I looked it up quick, and it says her country of birth is not disclosed. So I don't know.
No, okay.
So
let's assume that she's from the U.S., not to be a dum-dum about it.
So anyway, I thought that was interesting that she has that international view that she's going to be bringing to Disneyland now, which is interesting. Taking over her spot is Tasia Filipatos. Apologize if I'm not saying these names correctly. She's going to be taking over that role of president of Disney Parks International. She's currently the president of Disney Consumer Products. And I also saw she is a board member of Make-A-Wish International, which I thought was nice. So now we're getting into some of the people coming up through the consumer products, though, and getting into these more parks roles and kind of larger roles and stuff like that, because filling Tasha's role is Lisa Baldzecki, who was taking over that role. She was currently Senior Vice President of Parks, Products, Developments, and Retail. She's been there since 2024. Before that, she had similar roles at other companies, including Office Depot, Starboard Cruises, so there's cruises again, and also Victoria's Secret. I don't know if that helps, but just,
consumer products.
Consumer products definitely have to know how to sell on emotion with that as well. So just a lot of new people and new roles, because that's what happens when you move somebody up within a company. You got to backfill everywhere. But I thought it was interesting just to see what their backgrounds are and what they're looking for these people. And most of these people, especially Tom and Jill, are very experienced. So they're putting in people to succeed in these roles.
Maybe I'm making an assumption, but is Tasia Filipatos, is that a woman?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So other than Thomas, the other three are women.
Yeah, I mean, I love pointing out to my daughters that I love seeing women, getting promoted and being in prominent roles like that. They're good role models for my daughters. So I'm definitely going to point that out when I get a chance. I like that.
Yep. So thought that was interesting.
What do you make of that? Like, I mean, I think it's good, right? It would kind of seem silly if it wasn't the case, but maybe this is obvious or not. But like, as soon as Josh is getting ready to take over, it's like all the dominoes fell and they had somebody in place. Boom, boom, boom. They were ready, right? Like they weren't like, we're going to figure this out as we move along or whatever, or they just don't do anything, don't announce anything, and people are asking about it. It's just like, boom, it all just, here you go. It's done. It's taken care of. To me, it's like, we're going to hit the ground running. We're going to execute on the easy things. So there's no other nonsense that we have to think about.
I think that's what it is. I'm sure it's one of the first things Josh thought of as soon as he took the role, which is why they probably had a couple months or so from when it was named until he actually took over. And now this is coming out, 2 days or so, a few days
No,
before
I
the
think it's
change
great.
happens. And like I said, they didn't look externally and do look for a million people that could have been taking it. They were like, these people are qualified. I have good working relationships with them. Let's just do it. And like, let's set everybody up for success versus taking a chance on something or other like that. So,
I mean, I just like, to me, it's like that I noticed this, but like if this didn't happen, like I wouldn't notice that things weren't like filled in because I don't pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have.
Disney
A
company.
lot of people were wondering, like, are we going to find out beforehand, like, who's taking over Josh's old role? I wouldn't have thought about like the trickle down beyond that, though.
Me neither. But I thought it was interesting that we did find out about it all in one thing. All right, let's get into some construction updates, Phil, here.
All right.
So we're going to start at the Magic Kingdom like we always do. Really big thing that was announced there was no details other than a couple pictures, but a new patent was filed for the rally ride, which we are assuming is the major e-ticket ride for Piston Peak. It mentioned things like untracked vehicles, riders being able to choose where they go, control systems for forcing riders during certain paths because of just keeping people moving through. So this is a trackless vehicle. Which is what everybody was guessing that maybe it wasn't going to be that, but maybe it will be. And now I'm really like super interested. Yes. Did this announcement like spark any curiosity? Did it get you hyped? Like what was your mindset?
It did. Yeah, it definitely did. It sounded really cool. And if it is for that rally ride, it definitely increased my excitement and interest for it, especially when it talked about like you said, it'll correct people if they're like going off path, but that means they have some control over it. And at least in one of the images, it sounded like there were maybe a couple paths you could take or something like that. And you could have some choice over that. So that got me more excited that you're not just sitting there and having the car move you around, that you actually have some sort of control over what's going on. I think the potential for it is really high. Now, whether that can work out in an external environment without, a lot of downtime, I guess we'll have to see. But the concept of it got me really excited.
There was one picture that was on there for multiple paths through the attraction. And it seems like where there might be like a wider area, like one side is smooth, the other side is bumpy, I guess, whatever. Because I'm looking at a picture, it has like little circles that it's driving over, and then another area where there's no circles, right? And it looks like it's on a hill. Looks like the car can take either direction or anywhere on that path, depending on what type of experience you want.
Yeah.
And it looks like as it's coming down from the top of the screen down, that it like veers off, like kind of like how some like lazy rivers are, like you can go to the left or right and kind of one side splashes,
exactly.
The other side is like, whatever. It seems like that too, which I think is an absolutely fantastic ride experience. How reliable is it going to be? And are the vehicles going like, 2 miles an hour? Right. Yeah. So we have to look for speed. And just for a reminder for everybody out there, a brisk walk for most adults or a fast walk is about 4 miles an hour. So if this moves at 5 or 6 miles an hour, you would have to jog to keep up with it. If it's like 2 miles an hour, you can stroll and keep up with it. So I don't know if they're ever going to announce how fast it goes, but keep those stats in mind.
Also, just with like tight turns and some terrain and stuff. Just gonna say, with tight turns and terrain change and stuff like that, it can feel faster than it actually goes. Remember, like Space Mountain never goes faster than 25 miles an hour, and it feels a lot faster than that. So they could create the sense of speed around if it isn't actually going fast. Yeah.
But are we going to see? Is this a ride where you want to get speed, or is this a ride where you want to feel like you're off roading, which is typically not like a racer type of thing? I mean,
it's called Rally Racer, so I do want to see some element of speed or race or whatever. I guess I want it to be kind of zippy and quick, but it doesn't have to be flying. I think the off-roading element is the bigger part of it. I don't want it to compete with Test Track or anything like that, but I do want it to feel like I'm kind of zipping around.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you don't want it to be like a dark ride where you're just kind of watching boring terrain as it's going around it like a crawl. I don't know. I've kind of put this ride in the back of my mind, right? Because we haven't had any details of it other than just like the artwork that they've put out for the cartoon and stuff like that we got last year. Seeing this is getting me excited for this attraction again, Phil. It's like we were speculating, what is the ride vehicle? People are thinking like, oh, it might be on a track or it might transfer you from track to track or something like this. This is like, let me read the actual words here. The track itself no, that's not it. Excuse me. It's a free range vehicle system with multiple paths. The patent describes a ride system where vehicles can move freely across uneven terrain along multiple path options. Guests choose their route. A fleet controller manages all the vehicles on the track. overriding guest input when needed to maintain spacing, prevent collisions, direct vehicles towards specific attraction elements. This is a lot of stuff that I do for my professional life. I work with a lot of robotic stuff. I have a kind of an idea of what that might look like. I'm really stoked to be learning about more of how the technology works. And so I am sure as we get closer to this in the coming years, we'll get a behind the scenes at WDI about something like this.
Yeah.
If this is, I would have to imagine this would be like the first of its kind in a major theme park.
Yeah, at least the way they're putting it together,
else,
I can't think of anything else where it's like having some control and it's
a trackless vehicle like in the outdoors, right?
Yeah.
Like,
We have
even that
element,
or Mickey Minnie is Runaway Railway, but I think that's going to be really fun. And even Mickey and Minnie's or Rise or any other like trackless vehicles, it follows a track, right? It's following like the same. Like if you look at the ground as these things going on, you see tire tracks on the same exact square inch as it's going through, right? This seems like. It'd be curious to see if it's similar where it's like, okay, if you want to go over here, you still follow like, a discrete path where it's like in a path that you can't see physically, but in the programming, it's the path that you have to follow. And it's the same square inch that you're driving on. Or is it truly like, hey, you can work in this space, right? That type of thing. The next thing is we talked about Big Thunder opening early in May, Space Ranger Spin opening up in early April. And then if you take a look at some of the pictures, there's a new marquee outside of Buzz Lightyear, so you can kind of start seeing some of the style. It's kind of matching up some of the old towering spire type.
It seems to fit with Space Mountain and stuff like that. Yeah,
I think that's really cool. I like that style of Tomorrowland. I just hope that the rest of it kind of
it's just nice that it's going to be a little potentially more cohesive.
Yeah. I haven't seen any pictures since maybe 5 or 6 days ago, and maybe just because I haven't been looking. Cinderella's castle is very close to being completed in its painting.
Yeah, the last I saw, all of the like walls, the stuff that was pink is all now not pink, and they were working on the blue, like spire toppers, like that was still being worked on. Yeah, okay. So they were starting. It's just kind of a brighter blue.
Yep, I always like the brighter blue of the castle, so I'm really curious to see what it's going to look like. I'm curious. Do you think they're going to touch like the gray of like the bricks or the stone?
It didn't seem like it. I think that's going to stay the same. So I don't know, but maybe.
I mean, they put so much work within paint by numbers on that when they were doing it. So
and it should still
they had to paint over it.
Look fine. So I don't think.
Yeah, I think it does now. I think it looks fantastic. I found this on Blog Mickey. They're halfway complete with the Tomorrowland rocks as you walk into there. So you're getting rid of like kind of like the moon purplish rocks. Now they're just rocks. I still don't understand why they're rocks. Like this is Tomorrowland. Like it's a city. We're not on the moon or anything. I don't know. Well, whatever. That's all the updates for Magic Kingdom. In Hollywood Studios, the entrance to the animation or launch, formerly known as Launch Bay. I don't know what we're going to, the animation building. We're going to call it the animation building. The entrance is painted. So like those two spires that were used to be gray, they're now like a yellowish color, I believe. BioReconstruct had some flyovers this week. We can watch with bated breath as the upside down limo at Rock and Roller Coaster changes colors and people think about how terrible it looks because it's unfinished and they cannot imagine the future where it will be done and look fine. So
it is funny that they seem to like keep adding a new color every night or something like that. So it's like
I think they have to do it layering. Just because,
assume that's what it is.
It's outdoors and it's like metal, so they need to like I don't know, and they're taking their time. It's fine. It's fine. I like watching things in action. According to Blog Mickey, they took some pictures recently, or I think it was actually today. There's major facade work going on in Monsters Land, so they're doing a lot of scaffolding and they're doing a lot of touch-ups in Monsters. I love seeing this because I'm happy that it's not going to look the same. There's going to be more touches other than like sconces around their windows and stuff like that. So it's going to look really great. So there's nothing really to see other than scaffolding and bricks being taken out. You can see the Tyvek behind some of the bricks. That's basically it. You'll be happy to know, Phil, that the shade is now in on those poles outside of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge between Toy Story Land. And finally, we also know that the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse show is now opening in May also. So I'm just kind of putting the opening days in our construction notes, and then we move on from there. Epcot sadly has no updates. That makes me cry inside, but it is what it is. In Animal Kingdom, the Indy entrance is, you see some work starting. So they're basically taking down some of this stuff and you're getting ready to put the Mayan temple in front of it. So they're slowly doing a lot. Nothing major, but like you can see like a couple panels that were taken off that were noticeable, but that's basically it. So it's not major. And then I don't know if this was last week's update or this week's update, but there was a note about pictures from BioReconstruct with some of the concretes being poured for the base of the carousel. So you can kind of see that coming to fruition. And those are the updates for Tropical Americas and nothing but the hotels. So that is your construction updates for this week. Did I miss it? Because I didn't see I haven't got a chance to look at the latest bio pictures because I've been.
Yeah, I think that's everything I saw. I hadn't seen. He was over at Universal and stuff. So
one thing I haven't put out, this is not really an update, it's just a notice change. They are dumping a ton of dirt into the area formerly of Rivers of America.
That's true. Yeah, I did see some more. I mean, it wasn't any change or whatever, but they're even doing more work on like getting some of the where those forms were and stuff like that. And like you said, they're bringing in truckloads. Things are happening, but it's not like a change of things. It's just more of it.
I can't tell you what's happening, but there's vehicles moving things and things are happening, right? And I think they were starting to pour some of the concrete, or they poured the concrete in that, like, some people are calling a retaining wall. I don't think it's a retaining wall. I think it's just some structural stuff that needs to go down for infrastructure.
Yeah.
They're going to build up from it, and they need that there. I don't know why. Okay, so reminder for our social media is at the DBC Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube channel, and Blue Sky. And now for the main event, Phil, we're 44 minutes in, and good thing our DVC engagement is not very long because 2 people had some very good answers, and I think that's why no one else answered. No one could top those 2 answers. They were absolutely fantastic. We'll get to those in a second. So, Phil, you went to Disney World for a day. What did you do?
So, as mentioned last week, I went down for 2 nights. The main reason I was going down was to go to the D23 celebration of the Mexico Pavilion event that was held on March 11th. So I flew down the day before. I stayed at All Star Sports because that was where I could find the cheapest room on property. So I flew down middle of the day. I was scheduled to land at around 4. We actually got in a little ahead of time at around 3:30. I did get a text at about 2:20 or so that my room was ready. So that was exciting to have. Landed, got an Uber or Lyft to get to property, which I don't know if it's just because gas prices are up, but Uber and Lyft prices seemed higher than in the past. So just something to factor in if you're going down this time of year. And basically, went right to my room, dropped off the stuff. Love the All-Stars. I think for the value, the price that they offer a nice room with plenty of amenities and stuff like that. So the room was in good shape. Dropped my stuff, unpacked a little bit. I was texting with Wheezy from the Discord. We were going to try to meet up that evening. And so I got out and hopped on a bus over to Magic Kingdom, got to see the castle from the monorail or a little bit to see how much. I was like, that's as close as I'm getting to see the new paint color, but at least I could see it a little bit. Went over to...
Was it noticeable from the monorail?
I mean, I was looking for it, so I could definitely tell it was a different color and that sort of thing. Like the pink is gone. Even at that time, it was all but gone. So it definitely looked brighter and whiter and stuff like that.
I'm just saying, did it stand out? Or is it like...
It stood out a little bit, but if I didn't know that was happening, I don't know if I would have noticed, to be honest. But curious, it definitely, I noticed it was different, but I was looking for it. So that evening, I went over to the Polynesian. I used the mobile app thing to check in for Trader Sam's, and I was trying to time it so that it would be ready for when Weezy would get there so we could head into there. While I was waiting for it, I went up to Tambu Lounge, which I still think I was going to say is one of the hidden gems at Disney World, because you can go to there or the lounge and get pretty much all the food that's available at Ohana, but you don't have to pay the per person rate. However, I think the secret is out because there was a long line to get into the lounge area.
I've never seen that place not busy.
Yeah. So, but I was able to walk right up to the bar, and they were actually doing a special spicy tuna sushi roll. So I got one of those and a couple drinks, and while I was waiting to go to the other place to have drinks. So it was a nice arrival experience for that.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yep.
You seem to always go to the Polynesian as your default setting of where to go.
Yeah.
You have no park tickets.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it worked out well. So then we got into Trader Sam's. It was only about a 40-minute wait to get in.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
So
did you use the new mobile?
That's what I did. Yeah, I checked in and it was telling you it's a 30-minute wait, a 40-minute wait, or whatever. So I was trying to not go too early, so before Wheezy was going to get there. But it worked out pretty well that I was able to time it.
I've only been in there once, and the whole line thing stressed me out.
Yeah.
I was worried, I'm not staying here. Are they going to yell at me? Is it going to have a weird list? Or where do I go? Who do I talk to? Am I annoying people by asking too many questions? I like how you can just plug
it's definitely a lot easier that you don't have to go all the way over there. It's just, you do have to be pretty much at the Polynesian before it'll say you're otherwise it'll say you're too far away.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to do it from the Tambu Lounge, no problem.
That's cool.
We went in there, we hung out for a bit and just kind of chatted and that sort of thing. We talked to a few people that were near us, got to see a bunch of effects from people ordering drinks and lights going down and people chanting things and stuff like that. So it was a good time. Then we went over to Wailuelu. to try out their new drinks that were like, I guess not even published that they have new things on the menu, but they have new things on the menu. So I tried out, we each got one of the two new drinks, which we both thought were upgrades over drinks that were there before. And then we got the new octopus dish appetizer that was very good. And also not
grilled octopus.
Yeah. It's like, grilled octopus over like a saute of some puree with potatoes and stuff like that. It was really good. And it was like not chewy at all. So I think it's somebody who's never had octopus, but wanted to try it. This would be a good place to try it. We then went to, got another drink, went back to the Polynesian, got from the outside bar, Trader Sam's, got another drink, and then went down to the beach and watched Happily Ever After.
Nice.
Which is I still think that's the best place to watch Happily Ever After. I mean, it's just like one of those like moments where you're like, this is why I like Disney. Like there's hundreds of people just sitting on the beach, like watching this amazing fireworks show that goes off every single night. And it was like, I don't know. It was just lovely.
How many days in a row could you do what you just did?
Oh, at least 3, if not more. I thought it was wonderful.
Well, the question is, you said if not more, how many more? I'm just really curious because that's a great day. I mean, like that's just like, that is a true like resort type of stay type of thing.
Yeah,
I think that's
like obviously I only got to the resort to start at like 4:30 or something. So during the day I could have done pool time or whatever like that. But it was a really great evening. The one thing was we were trying to think. I was like, okay, well, how do I get back to my hotel because we're at the Polynesian? So I either have to like get on the monorail, go back to the Magic Kingdom to get on a bus to go back. We were closer to the TTC, so Weezy was like, well, why don't you just get on the monorail to go to Epcot and then get the bus from there, so you don't have to deal with like the people coming out of Magic Kingdom after Happily Ever After and stuff like that. So that's what I did. And it worked out well. That's where I got one of the first times I messaged you, Jason, that I was like, some experiences going on here.
You were texting me with some of like the weirdest things. And I still don't know what they are. I've been waiting for this.
Yeah, put them in the show notes, like weird notes. So the first time we're taking the monorail down to Epcot. And obviously, as a veteran, I know how that works, that you go down and you do the little loop around kind of what was Future World and come out. But there was two couples. To me, they looked like they were kids, but I think they were in their 20s or something like that. That were like, and the one girl was like really excited about this. She wanted to like see Spaceship Earth and stuff like that. And she was on the other side. I was like, well, I can move, so you could sit on this side. And she's like, no, I'm okay to stand and that sort of thing. And then I was like, okay, well, we'll do it. And then all of a sudden she like sees it out the other side of the window, because when you make that angle, and she's like, no, I'm like, no, it's going to be out this window. Like, trust me. And then she's like, still didn't understand what's going on. And then like we did the loop around. They had no idea you did that. And they were just, and they were just like, this is the coolest thing ever. So I thought that was
a Disney fan is born.
Yeah, exactly. So one of them had,
That's awesome.
I think the guy in the couple had like first timer buttons, first time, and she had a Disneyland shirt on. So I'm thinking that maybe they were Disneyland people, and this is their first time at Walt Disney World. So I thought that was a fun experience to see them.
Awesome.
So then I got on the bus and came back to my resort, and then pretty much went to bed and planned to get up early, which I did, to rope drop at Epcot. I got there at about 7:43 for early entry, opening at 8:30. But they let us in, started moving at a little bit before 8.
You were in the front of the park, right?
Yeah, at the front of the park where the buses came for that. So yeah, they had like separate areas to go, and they had like one line that kind of waited like sort of on your way to getting under Spaceship Earth, but not quite there. And they had everybody wait in 3 lines just so they could go by and check everybody's magic bands or whatever to make sure you had the proper access to early entry. And then we went in, and I would say about 95% of the people were heading towards Guardians of the Galaxy. I actually kept going because my goal was to actually ride Frozen, because I wanted to see the new animatronics. I also did get to see, though, as I was walking that way, the group of people that were coming from International Gateway to go ride Guardians of the Galaxy. And you could see like the cast members are in front, like they're doing okay, like keeping people from running. But as soon as they kind of got like within like, like close enough to like that the World Celebration area, that people just took off. You could see cast members like, don't run, but like at that point, people
what are you gonna do?
People just took off. So I went over to the Frozen area. I was in line at I think 8:08, 8:04, something like that. They let us in, probably just a couple minutes before 8:30. But I was on and off the ride by 8:38. So I thought that was doing pretty good. I will say the new animatronics look great. It is a huge upgrade for the ride, way better than the screen projections. Although I did realize it's really only 5 animatronics in the entire ride that they updated, because like the trolls are still the projection faces, Sven's eyes are still projection stuff. It's really just the Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, and yeah, those were the only ones that they updated. So it makes a big change just having those 5, but at the same time, it's like, oh,
There's 2 Elsa ones, right?
yeah, there's 2 Annas and 2 Elsas, and then a Kristoff. So, but that was fun. Then I was like, well, let me go up to the front because it's still early entry time. Maybe I can get like in line for Guardians before like it opens to the public. But by the time I could have, but it was an 80-minute wait. So I was like,
well, right. I'm like, yeah, there's no point.
I'm not going to do that. So then I went over to the Land Pavilion and I rode Soarin', where I got the worst seat you could possibly get for Soarin'. So it was like the bottom row all the way to the right, the very right most
I was going to say top or bottom right is usually the worst.
So it's bottom right. So it wasn't just that the Eiffel Tower was curving, everything was curving. So I just kind of like went with it. It is what it is.
Well, what is your mindset when you do this? Like, I've never done a solo trip there. I've always been with at least one other person.
Yeah.
Are you just like, I'm just going to do ride? Or are you thinking that maybe, like, to me, I'd be like going back and forth. Do I want to just do the rides because I love all the rides and I just want to do them? Or is there something in mind where you're like, I want to get some breakfast and a cup of coffee and go sit somewhere that I find enjoyable and just sit there?
Yep. So I did go back and forth between that, but part of what I wanted to do eating wise was eat at some of the flower and garden festivals, and most of them didn't open until 11:30. So my thought was kind of like, let's use up this morning time, just trying to get on some rides and take advantage of that, and then do the booths after that. So yeah, so I did Soarin'. And then I did Living with the Land, where actually I saw there were people working on in the greenhouses and even in the science lab. So I saw 4 different workers like on the ride. This is the first time I've seen that many people.
Did you watch the Disney Parks blog YouTube video of them setting up for the festival?
I saw that it was out. I didn't watch it yet.
It's interesting. It's nothing.
Yeah, they didn't really do that much for this festival, but yeah. So.
It's curious for how they're just setting things up, and you can kind of see them arguing, but like, move it this way, move it that way.
And then I did stop at Sunshine Seasons because they had a couple special festival items there. So that was the first of the festival items I got. I got the little macaroon thing and a cold brew, so that was good. Took around, looked at some of the topiaries, went through Journey of Water with Moana. So that was something that I did. I was like just walking by. I was like, there's like no line. Let me just walk through this like while I'm here by myself. So I did that. Then at that point, some of the festival booths were starting to open. So I went to Florida Fresh, where I got the
They're opening at 11:30 now, and not 11.
So
right?
On the Friday through Monday, so the weekends, they open at 11. They're open 11 to 8. But
weren't you there on a Wednesday?
Yeah, I was there Wednesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's 11:30 to 7:30. But I didn't realize Florida Fresh actually opens early. I guess every day it opens at 9 or 9:30.
Okay, there you go.
Which I didn't realize. But I noticed it was open when I went by at about 11. I was like, oh, maybe it is opening at 11, but it was just this one booth. But that had the fish slider, which was the best thing I had all day. That seems
fish slider.
Yeah.
What kind of fish?
So it was blackened white fish. It didn't actually. It just called it a blackened fish slider. Nobody knows what the fish is. It seemed like maybe mahi mahi or something like that, some sort of white fish. But it was with a fried green tomato and remoulade sauce on it. And it was probably the best thing I've had. And if you see reviews from elsewhere, it seems to be general consensus that it's one of the best things this festival.
I don't like watching festival videos because I get very jealous of not being there, and I get angry that I'm not there. Oh, and the only thing that gets me angry.
And I realized I skipped over one of the other things that I messaged you. This was actually when I was riding Living with the Land. Behind me, I was in like the last row of the first boat, so the family that was in the second boat behind me. Like one of the young girls must have been, I don't know, around 10-ish or something like that. She just like the entire time we were going to the greenhouses was just screaming, "This is all real. This is all real. How did they," like she just did it like 20 times to the point that I was like, okay, we get it. Like you're impressed by this. Like she was just like, so
that's
like
amazing,
like
though.
Overwhelmed by the whole thing. Like this must've taken them years. How did they do this? Like, so I think we have a new, I think a new Living with the Land fan was born.
Yeah, you know what? There's one born every day. I guess, right? That's awesome.
Then I started making my way into World Showcase. I stopped at the France Pavilion. That was one where I wanted to get a couple of the items there, including the confit duck there, which was good, not great. I was hoping to be a little bit better. But this I was waiting for the booth to open, so I was in a little bit of a line. And there was this family behind me, and the guy just like is clearly staring at Chefs de France. And I don't know if it just looks like what he thinks an Italian restaurant should look like. He's like, oh, look, there's an Italian restaurant there. And all I could help but think it was like, sorry, don't think you understand the concept of World Showcase. Like, this is the France Pavilion. I assure you that's not an Italian restaurant. But I thought that was kind of funny.
Even says Chefs de France on front.
Yep. Then I stopped for a little bit at the train station, or the model train set, and then I made my way over to Mexico for the event. As I said, this was the main reason I was there. We could check in around 12:15 at La Hacienda de San Angel, so the one that's outside, and that's where we did our tequila tasting. So to give an overview of the event, it was kind of split into 3 parts. The first part was the La Cava Tequila Experience, which was a full tasting with a master tequila taster. And I'm not going to go through all the details of the event on here because it'd probably be a little boring for me to just talk it. But also, if you haven't read it, I did write up a full review on Substack. We now have a Substack because I guess
we have a Substack.
We're
going to have to write on
I know we're going to have to do it a little bit
so
more.
We have it.
So I put the full...
Instead of having like our very long posts on Discord or like the message boards, now we can just dump it on here and call it our own.
Yep. So I have all the details there. I'm not going to go through it all and going through all the different tequilas we tasted and stuff, but this was done by led by Tequila Ambassador Humberto Soto, who is great. Talk about somebody who loves their job. And he's originally from Tequila, Mexico. So if anybody knows it, it's going to be him. But we went through the whole experience. Another message that I said he was called For Science, because he would say that I thought that he would teach us when we were going through the process, we would taste a sip of each of the tequilas. And, what do you taste? How do you blah, blah, blah. And he's like, should we do another one? For science, that we should take another.
Absolutely.
So for science, we always had to have multiple shots of tequila. But
great.
It was a really interesting experience. And he went through all the different types of tequila. And the tequilas they used in there are very high quality. So I thought it was a really good experience. This is actually offered most days at Epcot. Just you can book it. Usually twice a day. Currently, it was at either 10:45 or 12:45. It's about $180 a person, though.
It's pricey,
yeah. But just keep in mind, so that was part of this experience. But then we also had some additional elements to it. We had another cast member named Pedro, who was I think he's like one of the restaurant managers there, or for the food and bev at the Mexico Pavilion. But he's been there since even before 1982. He was responsible for getting the restaurant open when Epcot opened. Wow. So he was like part of like the family from San Angel in Mexico that Disney came to. And so he kind of worked with them. And so he was telling all these stories about getting everything up and running for opening in 1982. He talked about like getting a tortilla machine and like all these things to like try to figure out like what they wanted to serve and how to have the restaurant and blah, blah, blah. But one story I liked was that he would say like at night they would like see the other like kind of his equivalents from the other pavilions who are all doing the same thing, trying to get like their restaurants ready to go for opening day, and how they like nobody could understand anybody else, but they at the same time they totally understood that they were all going through the same thing. So I thought that just created like That's a cool. fun like mental image in my mind of all these people from like the China Pavilion and like Canada Pavilion and like all like kind of trying to do the same thing, because these weren't like Disney employees, like all the other parks and stuff were longtime Disney employees that put it together. These were people that were like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I just like took a chance on this. And like, so you could also just tell that he was very proud of like what's become of the Mexico Pavilion and how it's grown and stuff like that.
Very cool. I love that like history aspect of things. Right?
Yep.
That's amazing.
And then after that, they had Steven from the Walt Disney Archives, who I saw present at Destination D23 this past year and seen him some other places. He came and gave a little bit of information and history about the Mexico Pavilion and how it ties into Imagineering, including why the Mexico Pavilion is located where it is. The original idea for World Showcase is that the U.S., the Americas Pavilion was going to be in the middle as you entered World Showcase. And so the idea is Canada and Mexico would be on either side of it. But then they decided to move America to the back, but they left Mexico and Canada where it was. The other thing that they talked about is the original plan for World Showcase was going to be called Disney World Showcase. And it was before it was even going to be part of Epcot. It was going to be a separate area located closer to the TTC, and would have had different pavilions for different countries that would have kind of spiraled around from the middle, and the middle part would have been enclosed. And apparently Mexico was part of that. And the original design for it was the internal thing and the idea of like being nighttime all the time. And they said that design they loved so much, they kept it when it was decided to move World Showcase Epcot. So that's why Mexico is like the only pavilion that's kind of like that where it's almost all inside like this. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so you got to hear like a lot of different things like that. He also brought some color sample boards from some of the designs for the original when the pavilion first opened for like the restaurant and stuff like that. And these were, you know, signed off by famous Imagineers like John Hench and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool to get to see some of those. Then the second part of the event was we went over to La Cava proper, where we had tables reserved for us. And we got to try a specialty cocktail that was created just for D23 called the Aztec Eagle, which is named after the award that the Mexican government gives out. It's the highest award they can give out to foreigners, and Walt Disney was granted it at one time. So it was in honor of that. And he went through the different ingredients that were in it, including an apple liqueur, which they said was a nod to Snow White, the original princess, and stuff like that. So it's kind of a cool story all about that. He also... the cast member Sebastian, who's responsible for like event planning and social media and stuff for the Mexico Pavilion, was giving us a lot of information. He also, when we were in there, pointed out which table Neil Patrick Harris likes to sit at when he comes and which table Jordan Fisher likes to sit at when they come. And then he also pointed out, and it's kind of in one of the barrels off to the side, there's actually a hidden Mickey around the cork in the barrel. And he pointed out that it's the only bar on Disney property that has a hidden Mickey. So I thought that was interesting.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I saw that picture of it too. Yeah.
And then after that was for the third part of the event was we went into St. Angel Inn and had a full 3-course meal. And one of the dishes was something that's been served down when the Mexico Pavilion opened in 1982. It was a chicken dish. And I picked that one as my entree and it was delicious. This is actually the first time I've eaten at St. Angel Inn, the one inside.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. It's the first time you've eaten there.
So I enjoyed everything we had. So,
the food there, I had the ossobuco when I was there last year. I thought it was fantastic. I'm not sure I would go back to that restaurant though. Again, none of my kids actually really enjoyed everything there. Unfortunately, my kids are decent eaters.
Yep,
but they have a pretty good menu. I like it there.
It was a fun time. I was kind of sitting with some other, obviously Disney fans because we're all D23. The four of us that were sitting together, none of us were local. A lot of the other people in the group were locals, but somebody was from Colorado, someone was from Missouri. I'm from New York, and somebody else was from Portland. So it's just interesting to see everybody who basically flew in just for this event. And that person, I believe her name is Sammy, she goes to almost every D23 event. She wears these like elaborate dresses and everything. So she's kind of known by everybody. But talk about travel. I will share this story quickly. She does the Princess 5K, 10K, and half marathon every year. She also tries to get to every D23 Disney on Broadway thing that they do. Well, unfortunately, there were 2 of those were scheduled for the same weekend as the Disney Princess Half Marathon. She flew from Portland to Orlando to do the 5K, which actually got delayed. So she wound up leaving early to go to the airport to fly to New York to do the first of the Disney Broadway events, flew back to Orlando to do the 10K, flew back to New York to do the other Broadway one, flew back to Orlando to do the half marathon. I was like, that's commitment. That's a little crazy. That's impressive.
Somebody's got to do it.
I mean,
well, it's not me, but like somebody's got to do it.
So whenever you look at your schedule of like, I'm going to drive all the way and then rest and go right to like none of our schedules are crazy compared to what she did. So,
but I mean, like you're running, so you're probably sleeping on the plane. So at least
I guess so. Right? Yeah. But I can't imagine like travel is like kind of tiring to begin with, then to like run a half marathon and stuff like that.
Is this like a retired age lady?
No, she's working. I mean, she's probably getting towards retirement age, but no.
I'm just saying somebody has to have either a lot of free time or a lot of money to be jumping.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's. I don't know all of her life story, but I think she's single and has like money to spend, and I think she travels due to work.
What I would do.
So she says she is like Diamond Elite with like a couple airlines and stuff like that. So I'm sure that makes that easier. But I don't know.
Sure.
So overall,
rock and roll.
At the end of it, I thought it was an amazing event. Like I said, it wasn't cheap. It was $349, but when you figure the tequila tasting alone was $180, and we got the full meal at St. Angel. We got a glass to keep, like a bunch of souvenirs, a whole like gift bag from La Cava. I feel like you at least got quite a bit for your money. One thing I found interesting was Sebastian was telling us that when they proposed the idea to D23, they're like, really? Do you think people are going to want to do this? It sold out in 4 minutes. So like, yeah, people want to do it. So I would love to see them. And this was some of my feedback, like similar things like this. Like I would love to do like a sake tasting one at the Japan Pavilion and hear more about the history of that pavilion or something like that. So we'll see. It ended around 4 p.m. Or before I go on, did you have anything else you wanted to ask about the event?
No, I mean, like I read your Substack. I mean, there's really not much to dive into like on the podcast because it's all pictures and really cool stuff there. So like, go read that if you want to. But it just seemed like really cool. I was super jealous that you were able to do this. I had a. The funny thing is, I thought I had a major project going on for work where I couldn't go, and I only went to that project on Monday and last Monday and today. And I mean, if I really wanted to, I could probably squeak this one out because I really didn't have my schedule completely opened up. But no, I was just very super jealous. If I keep on talking, I'm going to get really, really more jealous. I can't go down there. It'd be really cool if they set up multiple of these, like through like a week or something, where they had like 2 or 3 of them going on. Like you did one at Mexico one day, Japan one day, whatever. I would do like a 3-day trip, assuming that I can get into the parks with the. If you didn't buy an Epcot ticket, did you have to buy one to get into this?
I did have to buy an Epcot ticket, yes. I did have to add that into the price. Obviously, I got the whole day at Epcot then, but yeah, if you didn't have an annual pass or anything like that, you did have to have a ticket to get it.
Interesting. I still probably seriously consider doing like 3 of these events 3 days in a row.
Yeah,
type of thing. I think that would be a really fun trip.
So after that, I did a little bit more wandering around World Showcase. I did just do some I was checking wait times for various things, and sometimes I would go there and line didn't seem to match up with what the wait times either for Disney or Line's app were saying. But I wound up riding on Grand Fiesta. I did Spaceship Earth, stopped at a number of food booths. I went to Japan, watched some of the bands playing at Canada. That was a fun band was playing there. Then I got the beer flight in Mexico, and that's where I met up with Wheezy again and also our friend Zach. So the 3 of us were going to hang out for the evening. We all got some stuff from the American Pavilion again. Then we went over to the bistro, the honey booth that I wanted to try a couple things at. Then we just kind of hung out and just chatted and talked and stuff like that. Ultimately, we decided to not watch Luminous. They said they would leave it up to me since it was they were local and that sort of thing. So I figured so we decided to do Guardians instead. It was posted like,
oh, okay.
I think it was posted.
What song?
We got Congo. I think it was
the best one.
Yep.
Excellent.
So it was just fun hanging out and just talking. The line was moving pretty good at the end of the night. And then I think it's the last line I said at the end of the night. I was like, well, we got to get a photo together. And so I'm taking the photo. Keep in mind, both Wheezy and Zach are each like a foot taller than me. So I was just like, wait, why is the short guy like holding the phone? But it worked out well. And yeah, it was just an enjoyable. I mean, how can I not have an enjoyable night having a whole day in my favorite park with an amazing event fantastic. And like hanging out with a couple good friends and food and wine and stuff like that. Then just got on the bus back to the resort, went to bed. I will say the one thing is my room was in the baseball section. I think they call it the home run section, which you have to go past the football section through, where there's like a full turf field. And I guess there were a lot of like sports teams and cheerleaders and stuff there. So when I got out in the morning, they were all doing like their workouts and stuff. Like it was like an actual like they were doing like running drills and stuff like that on the turf. The other thing it was at night is they were all hanging in the baseball section is one of the smaller pools. They were all hanging out there. So there must have been 200 high school kids like hanging out in the pool. Fortunately, they do have quiet hours that started at 11, and I think their chaperones were kind of shutting it down at about 10 or so like that. So it wasn't like an issue going to bed or anything, but I was just like, that is a lot of kids. Like, okay.
Yeah.
In the morning, I was, I know my original plans was I was going to do breakfast at Steakhouse 71. I ultimately decided even the day before just to cancel that. It was just going to be too much with like either dragging my luggage there or trying to get there and then get back. And then they were talking about long lines between spring break and everything going on with TSA. I was just like, it's just too much stress to do it. So I canceled that and just went over early to the airport, went to the lounge and got some breakfast. And
I am never a proponent of doing anything on your departure day.
I mean, if it was like a hotel I could easily get to, like by either transportation or just walking, I might have done it.
Yeah, sure.
But I would have either had to like buses or Ubers or whatever. It was just becoming too complicated. And I was like, you know what, it's just not worth it. So I'll save the money and not do that. So that is something to do in a future trip. But that was the end of my trip report. So
yeah, that's a fantastic time. I mean, it's something where you don't have to plan, you do something unique and you get to kind of do your favorite park without having to worry about kids and dragging everybody around. That's really cool. So I'm happy that you had a great time. And now we have a Substack because of it, which is really cool. Just for the sake of time, Phil, I just want to, we asked last week, what is a D23 event that you would like to see? You've already told yours about the sake tasting at the Japanese Pavilion. I want to talk about what Mama of Six put together, because this is something like I would do a down and back for this. And then TL Madden had one that I'm like, I would do a down and back for that one too. So I'm spending a lot of money already. So Mom of Six is she would like to see a special D23 centered around the legend of Sleepy Hollow sometime in October for an afternoon and evening, a non-party day, in Liberty Square. Screening of the legend of Sleepy Hollow in the Hall of President's Theater. I don't know if they could do that, but that would be completely awesome. Character meet and greet with Ichabod Crane, photo op with the Headless Horseman, hard cider and pumpkin brew stuff, and then a special meal at the Liberty Tree Tavern. Like, to me, that's so awesome. Like, that is so unique. That is so like a little bit of like Disney, like Halloweenish type of stuff. That one, I immediately said like, yeah, I can't believe they're not doing that. I mean, I think it would be kind of difficult to do during normal operations kind of stuff, but like, I don't know, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I attended a D23 event a couple of years ago, actually in Sleepy Hollow, New York. But this one,
I remember.
This one sounds better.
Yeah, for sure. TL Madden had a really good one too. Says you'd do a special D23 event at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, close it off for the evening, make it for like when it opened and how it was intended. A lot of roaming characters. Basically, take everything from the old Star Cruiser and just
or even just like the
Galaxy's
media events, right? Like kind of what that sounded like. Yeah.
So just basically turn Star Wars Galaxy's Edge to an immersive environment, which is probably what it should be for most days that it's open. At least that's what they were explaining it to us before it opened, before everything was kind of slashed. So TL Madden, I would do that because I'm a big Star Wars nerd, and I would love to go down there and witness like Darth Vader leading stormtroopers through Hollywood studios again, like they used to back in the day. All right, that'll be it. So for next week's DBC engagement, because Cool Kids Summer is all the rage and it's what we're talking about, and they talk about characters roaming all over the place, it's a big proponent of that. Rank your top 3 characters you would want to meet in Walt Disney World. We'll keep it simple. We're going to do a little rank them. Top 3 characters you would want to meet at Walt Disney World. I don't know, Phil, if we need to restrict this to characters you've never met before or just do any characters.
I'd say any characters. Keep it, be creative, even if it's like maybe somebody in a different outfit or something like that.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Like if it's like, I want to meet Mickey Mouse, but in like this outfit, and the outfit doesn't have to like exist. Like it could be like something that they make special for this special meet and greet that you want. But rank your top 3. Be interested to see what people have to say about that. And maybe that could, if this gets a good amount of comments, whether it's YouTube comments, leave it in YouTube, go onto Discord, leave it in there. If we get enough, maybe we go play a whole game based off of that with the two of us kind of rattling it off outside of the DBC engagement kind of framing.
Okay.
All right. Again, this is a Wheezy episode because now we're over 1 hour. Phil, is there anything I forgot to mention this week?
I think that's it. Just a reminder of our social media accounts. We're at the DBC pod pretty much everywhere, including Substack.
Thank you for watching, listening. Yeah, and Substack. There you go. I've got to add that one to the list. So anyway, thank you for watching, listening, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
Take care, everyone.